Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shamayo. This is the MeWe Metaphysics and Wellness Fair for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest and online, and we interview our practitioners and vendors so you get to know who we are before you meet everyone at an event. I'm here today with Lizzie Barnts. Lizzie, it's lovely to be here with you. So,
Hi, it's great to be here too.
so what is it that you do? What do you offer at our events?
I do a thing called a soul contract chart, which is literally like a piece of paper that you hold in your hand. So it's unlike other kinds of readings where people do it in person and it's a lot of like talking. This is something you can actually get on paper and look at yourself for as long as you want. You can refer back to it as many times as you want. I send the charts to my clients through email, so they can be sent to anybody anywhere in the world easily in an instant. So yeah, I do the charts, and then if you have trouble with your chart, I do a consultation over the phone anywhere in the world. So it's really pretty easy. It's a great modality, and I can tell you more about how to generate the chart. Would you like to hear about that?
Well, and also just maybe say a little bit more about soul contracts too. Like I imagine what they might be, but maybe not everyone might know like how it is that you define what this is.
This is true. So a soul contract chart is based on the spelling of your name as it was intended for you at the time of your birth. And that's it. That's the only thing I need, except your email to send it to. And what happens is on that chart, I take the letters of your name, I put them through a filter that does the numerology, and then I generate the chart by circling the numbers around in a certain pattern and getting sum totals all the way around your chart. I know it's like, what? I could lift
Oh,
it up and
okay.
show you.
No,
I
I
can
get it
try
a
to
bit
show
now.
you. Okay.
Well, and I
So
have a
it's
question
all
too. For someone like me, like, so there's a name I was born with, and then I changed my name when I got married, and then I changed my name later to be my own name now. So how does that work with someone that changes?
it's such a great question. I get it all the time. So you would always want to get your birth name chart done, because that was just like your date of your birth. You've chosen your name in your family and the country and what you look like. You've chosen all these things before you come in. So the name that at your birth is very important. Now, a lot of people change their name in life, or give themselves a business name, or they get married, or whatever it is. That name can be very significant also. And I've done those charts for lots of people. Some of them find that their birth chart is actually the most accurate one that describes them through their life. I mean, like they could be 20, 30, 50, and they could still see that that birth name is a really strong energetic in their life. But I often do multiple charts because people are like, I really feel like, after they see their birth name chart, they're like, I really feel like I worked through this karma or like unlock these talents. So I really want to see what my new name or my more recent name would reflect on me. And people do
Yeah.
that all the time. And that's good information too. But it's always good to sort of see where your roots were, because
Mhm.
sometimes there's little unfinished bits of karma in the chart that you haven't finished up with.
Mhm.
And that can be one of those little niggly like sticking points in your life when you're like, why can't I just get blah, 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 or, whatever it is, fill in the blank. And it's because that little bit of karma is still sticking in there. So you always want to see the birth name chart.
Mhm.
And while we're talking about birth names, for people who are adopted, there's protocols for that, about how to do your name, especially if you only had one name or whatever.
Yeah. I know
So
just all the
it's
varieties
all
too.
good.
I know people who have transitioned and then they have their true name. And so I've seen astrology charts redone on that date as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's sort of like an astrology chart in that you give somebody information and then they spin that out and find out what those energies are in your life, except this is very different. Although the soul contract charts absolutely have ties to astrological energies, and in every aspect of your chart you're going to get an astrological aspect that has a numerical
Mhm.
part to it. And then that energy is going to be present in that part of your chart as well. Gets really interesting if you have a bunch of the same numbers coming around on your chart, because like that energy will keep coming up in different ways in your chart.
Yeah. Well, okay. So now everyone's probably waiting. Show us a chart. So show us a chart. So yeah. So what is this?
I'll try to do it. Tell me, can you see that?
Yeah, we totally can see that.
Okay, good. And that's just a, obviously it says your name here. It's kind of boring, but you take the numbers and they create these 7 different aspects. There's one
Yeah.
more aspect that's not in I call this the star chart because we use the star to do the numerology and the math, and it gets
Yeah.
kind of messy. But
Well,
there's
so it's
actually
right.
one
It's the
more.
number in the alphabet, right? So it's the number in the alphabet for all the letters of the name.
Yes,
And then,
exactly. It's the Hebrew alphabet, which every sound has a number. So yeah, and this is the book. I would love to give amazing credit to this guy.
Mhm.
This is the book, and I highly recommend it if you're into things that people haven't really heard of that much. This is a very little known modality for self-transformation. There's
Great.
so
And
much
maybe
good stuff
just
in each chart.
we have some people that don't see that listen to our videos too. So if you could just say the title and what his
Oh
name is,
yeah,
that'd be great.
perfect. So the book that got me started on this journey is called Your Soul Contract Decoded. And the author of this book is Nicholas David Ngan. So his last name is Ngan. And I
Great.
hope I pronounced that right. He's a really
That's
great
great.
guy. He lives in Ireland. He has a website and videos and classes and all kinds of things. But even with all the beautiful work he does with soul contract charts, it just like I have yet to find someone who says, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that."
Well, can you just show us on the chart? Just give us some samples of like, so how do the numbers for the letters, where do they, just a little bit of where do they go? What does it mean? Just a little bit.
Okay, so hopefully this will make sense. So we start with by putting the numbers underneath each of the letters, and
Mhm.
then you take that first number and it goes. I should have brought a different chart in here. I don't have one. Anyhow, the first number goes in your physical karma. Oh man, I don't know if I'm showing this
It's
very
okay.
well.
I kind of get
So
the
you
idea
take the
though.
numbers and you start it. Yeah, and you wind. I call it unwind your name, because you take each of the numbers and they end up on going around the chart,
So are you
each on
counting
a
it
plate.
out, like of where it goes, or the numbers?
Yeah, so it's like, I'll try to do this backwards. So it'd be like the 12 should be there. Well, I didn't put it on here because I didn't want it to look like just a mess of numbers,
No,
but the
it's okay.
12 or the 16, sorry, that's the 16. I'm looking at it backwards to
It's okay.
the paper. So that number would go down on physical karma. And then the next number, which is a 6,
6.
yeah, that would go to your spiritual karma. And the numbers would unwind going this way all around the chart. And then you add up the numbers and you get your sum total.
Mhm.
And then that is either a single number or two numbers, like a double digit number. And then if it's above 22, you have to reduce that down.
Mhm.
So it's like there's a lot of rules, but there's a
Yeah.
reason for that, because it's based on the alphabet, which only has so many
Mhm.
letters. And sometimes when I start explaining this to people, I'm like, it's just magic,
Well, so
which
then
is
does the
not
book,
good.
hmm?
What?
Go ahead. So it's like magic. Go
It's
ahead.
it's like magic, because I can explain exactly how I do the charts, and yet people go, but how does this describe me? I don't understand. This is so crazy. And I'm like, it's magic. I mean, there's so many things that are magic, right? But it's not magic. It's some interesting kind of numerology.
But so does the book.
Um,
Does the book is like an encyclopedia of what the different meanings are, and like how much of it are you translating and intuiting for each person? Like what?
That is such an awesome question. So yes, the book is full of information. It's got everything in there that you need to do a soul contract chart. However, it's got so much information in there that if you just want to know what your chart looks like and how to interpret it, I'm not going to say it's a waste of your time, but it's going to take a long time.
I know you
And
just get this
I
much
read
to find out your chart, which is this much value, but it's like this much of the whole book.
Exactly. So I mean, I've read this book like 5, 6, 7 times. So what I did was I took information out of the book, and nobody else has done this. I keep thinking, why has nobody done this? Not even the guy who wrote the book.
We all do the
I took
magic that we do. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I guess it's me. I guess I'm doing this. So I took the book and I transcribed chapters out of the book with each of the number profiles. But there's more. It's more than just one chunk. There's like for each number that you have, like let's just say so physical karma 11 2. Can you see that? Okay.
Pull it back a little bit.
So
more. Yeah. Mhm.
there's the 11 and there's the 2, and when you have a combination number, you're looking at a range of energies between 2 and 11. So there's a lot to explore there, and people will be like, what does that mean? Well, you have to read the energies of 11 and the energies of 2 and the astrological energies, and it depends on which aspect you're in. If your 11-2 is in your soul destiny, that's awesome. If it's in your physical karma, may not be the best thing. But is there any good kind of karma? Yes, there is. But when it's your physical karma, it's not. So it depends on what energies are in what part of your chart. That tells you what you might be struggling with. And the talents say what you can do all day long. It's effortless. You don't even realize maybe it's your superpower. Then your goals are where you want to go in your lifetime, this lifetime. So if you have really crappy karma, it's all crappy. Let me rephrase that. If you have a really difficult karma aspect compared to your talents, your life is going to be really
It's harder.
challenging. Let's
Yeah.
use the word challenging. But if your talents, the best thing that can happen is if your talents are exactly the same number as your karma, because that cancels it out, because you've already come in with the gifts and talents that you need to overcome the lessons you wanted to learn. So that's it. It's an automatic cancel. It's also really hard if you have karma, the same karma in both your physical and your spiritual aspect. So these are the nuances. And when I'm doing your chart for you, I am actually pulling all these pieces of information from the book and collating them and translating them a little bit, because the book is really like scholarly, not impossible to
but it's
read and
dense.
understand.
It's really dense. Yeah.
It's dense. So this is why I did this, because I would try to talk to people about it and be like, I need to just give them a chart that they can hold in their hand, use colored pencils and be like, oh, this piece here makes sense to me. This piece, I don't know, question mark, really like sink into the information. And that's why I'm doing this. Because when I learned about it, I was like, this is great. The world needs this. It's so easy. It's so actionable. There's advice in every single section. If you have karma that you hate, go to the advice section.
Well,
if you have karma and you feel like, oh, you know what, that makes sense, but I feel like I've worked through that already because I'm not experiencing all the negative like symptoms that it's showing, then you know that you have moved beyond solving your karma, and now you're on to going after your goals.
Well, it's great. So that's where I was wanting to go next. So the book has some advice about what to do about things. And then since you know it so well, you probably have advice about what to do about things. Is that true?
Oh yeah. No, your chart has advice.
Okay.
I should put one in here. Okay. So
you want to go grab one real fast? I can pause the video and go grab one.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
So thanks so much for going to you got not only one chart, you got a couple charts. So I'm excited to see these.
Okay, so this is what the chart is going to look like when you unwind the numbers, and there's like some math, and then down here you can see how I've put everything in, and then there's something called the word. The word, not everybody has the word. In this chart, she does have the word because she has 4 or more 5s in her chart. Can you see that? I'm holding it good. Okay, so if you have more than 4 of a number in a chart, then you get this 8th aspect called the word.
Okay.
So your chart Okay, now I'm going to show you what you get. So this is somebody else's chart, but I've folded their name down so they can remain anonymous. And I've already drawn on it because this is somebody who's close to me. So I was going over the chart with them, but this is a good example of what you should do when you get your chart. So your name would be up here and I just folded that down. And it explains on the first page how to use the chart. And these are the extra notes. You can see in here, I wrote in for my friend. It's lucky for you that you have this in the talent position, because that would have been hard in a karma position.
And do you type this up for each person, or there's sections that come through for each part of the chart? Okay.
Totally. So here, I'm just going to flip through it. So this is the front page with the name turned down. And here's a summary of all of your aspects side by side. So you can be like, oh, like, are my physical talents good enough for my physical karma? And then the next page is where the report begins. And the first aspect we start with is physical. So I describe, okay, what are we talking about? You've never heard of this before. So here's how to understand it. This is the energy that was on the summary page. Same energy, the first section there. And then there's notes, and then there's advice, which is like gold. So in the advice section, there can be like an exercise you might want to do, or a tincture you would take, or a certain kind of therapy. Like I see in here in the advice section, a lot is like screaming therapy for certain people with certain energies, because that's what's going to help them. So you don't have to be like, oh, so I have unworthiness issues. What do I do? Well, it's all right in here. And that's what I love about these charts, is that they give you actionable information that anybody anywhere in the world could take advantage of and do. So a tincture, great, order it. You can come get it from anywhere. Maybe you don't have a Tai Chi class in your community, but maybe you can go online and find one. So like anything that's mentioned in the advice section is super awesome, because it empowers you to help yourself in whatever it is you need to change. Okay, so then there's also this part is about breaking down the 11. So this person had an 11 too in their physical karma. So this is all about 11. And then the next page is going to be all about 2. And it gives you the detailed information about those 2 numbers and how they're going to show up. And again, there's advice in that section as well, things you can do. And then you move on to the next aspect, which would be physical talents, and on and on and on. So there's several pages of information for each aspect of the star chart. Now we're going to go back to the Mary Smith one. So all of these have a section of information that's could be 3 pages long. So the chart will be at the minimum 9 pages. And that's if everything you have in your chart is double numbers, because it reduces how many numbers we have to go over. But it can be as many as like 26 pages. So that's what you get. You get this chart totally actionable, totally explained. And I always tell my clients, okay, so here's your chart in an email. Here's some things that I want you to keep in mind if there's some super outstanding things in the chart. And then I say, read it, maybe read it twice, then put it away for at least 3 days, maybe a week, then come back and read it again, because you will assimilate the knowledge, you'll assimilate the information at a pace that is good for you. And I don't want people calling me the day after they get the chart and being like, I don't understand this. And the only reason I don't want, because I don't want you to pay me to explain this, when 3 days from now, you're going to read the chart and be like, ah. So that's why I'm like, read it, put it away, read it again in a couple of days. The best thing you can do with a chart is have your best friend or your sister or somebody who you love and knows you really well, have them read the chart too. I'm not saying you should read the chart, read it, but then hand it to your friend.
They'll point out all the things that we can't see
like,
about ourselves.
Yeah, totally. So that's why I love these charts. They're so fun and easy to use. They teach you so much, and they're different from all the other charts. I love charts. I mean, human design is awesome. Astrology is awesome. palm analysis is awesome. Like there's so many great modalities out there.
Yep.
Here's something really cool I wouldn't have known if I didn't hang out with a bunch of other people like me who like to do like spiritual stuff and make charts. I have a friend who does palm analysis. I have a friend who does human design gene keys, and I have a friend who's an astrologist. And they were all like, oh,
Yes.
this is crazy because this is the same stuff that shows up in my chart.
And I do eye readings, and I'm so curious to see how my work is syncing up with it too. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm getting like tingles right now because it's so great. That's why I say it's magic. I mean, like, sure, I'll explain it to you. I'll explain as long as I need to give you any information you want. But man, it's like magic. So
it's the magic of life. It
So
comes through us in all these ways, and we can tap into it from all these ways. Yeah. It's great.
So the only last thing I want to say for sure is I want to show you a composite chart. And again, I'm going to turn down everybody's name on this chart. And I'm going to hold that up. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's that?
On the right, it's all the aspects. And then these are all the people. This is a composite chart. I filled some of it in by hand. Usually it comes printed to you, but
These are people in
this
their
is
life?
just one. Yeah, this is people in my life. So that shows you side by side in your soul group. So moms, they'll get a woman will get her chart done, and then she'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all of my kids. I need to know what's going on in my family. And this is really important because if one person has a karma, can you see that? There's the green 6-6. If somebody has the karma in the family, and then the other person has the talent, the talent person might be, or let's call it the child. The talent child is like always good at this. And then, the kid who's got the karma is like, why can't I be like my brother? This really helps in parenting, and also really helps in families with a lot of dysfunction. The only reason I can say that is because I've had clients who came and got their chart done, and then they were like, I'm doing my whole family, even people who are dead. And I was like, ooh, that's hardcore, but I'll do it. And they did it because they wanted to see the dynamics that were passed down through generations in their family. Is everybody going to want to do that? But I'm just throwing it out there that if you're like, God, what is it with my family? This is a great way to find out what's with your family.
Yeah.
And you could actually help them, They might need a tincture, or they might need screaming therapy, and you could advise that to them.
That's great. That's great. Well, if people want to learn more about your work and connect with you online, how do they find you?
Okay, so I have some videos on my YouTube, which is Lizzie Barnts Catalyst. Everything's Lizzie Barnts Catalyst.
And spell
so
it.
You just
spell it for everybody.
Okay, Lizzie is Lizzie. My last name is Barnts. Starts with B as in boy, ARN as in Nancy, T as in Thomas, S as in Samuel. Barnts.
Catalyst.
It's a weird name.
And Catalyst.
Catalyst. Catalyst. Right. Yeah. So I have YouTube. I have I'm on Facebook, and I have a website. That's what that's called, a website. I'm trying to be on Instagram, but I'm not really clever with it yet. So if anybody wants to show me how to use Instagram, I'm here waiting. And that's pretty much everything. And then when you get a phone consult, you literally call me and we talk. It's that simple.
That's great.
Otherwise, it's just through the email. And a lot of people chat back and forth through the email. I always tell people when they get their chart, if there's something that you're like, wait, how does this work? Just ask me. I'm not going to charge you for that. But if you're like, okay, this part of my chart, I have absolutely no idea, and I've read through everything, and I don't know how to apply it to my life, I will absolutely do a phone consult with you for that. And I have a way of being able to use my intuitive abilities to see what you're doing in your life and where that applies. I just say, tell me about your life. Tell me what you do all day long. And pretty soon I've got a picture, like a literal, I can see it in my brain.
Yeah.
And then I can help you plug that in. So that's what the consults are for, is when you just you're not getting to the place where you can make the equation.
Even just, I know
completely.
some people and different qualities they bring, looking at all those pages of information would be overwhelming for some people, and they'd probably rather talk to you about it.
And there's an aspect that's basically says you are not going to be able to read this chart.
Yep. Yep.
And when I
yep.
see that, I preemptively will be like, okay, so you have this aspect, so we should schedule, by all means
Mhm.
read it. But if you feel like, oh yeah, no, this karma describes me, then I will help you. So
Yep.
that's what I love to do. I love to help people. And a chart is just like a bunch of paper, but it's really good paper. It's
It's the
got
magic
really
of the
good
energy of who we are in a way that we can, it's more tangible and we
stuff on
can
it.
take action. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been lovely talking
Is
with
there-
you. I'm very excited about connecting all this together, and I'm excited about having more people know about what you do and have access.
Thank you. Yeah. There's just hardly anybody doing it
Nope,
in
never
the
heard of it
world.
before. It's
Honestly.
great.
Yeah. So want to help more people, help more people.
Hey, well, for all
Thanks
of
so
you,
much for interviewing me.
you're so welcome. For all of you listening and watching, you can learn about all of our events at mewefairs.com. That's MEWEFAIRS.com. See you soon.